Qiyamah, you have your a'mal for Allah to give it to you. Now, a person who doesn't believe, but they do good deeds, Allah says, yes, we are not going to let your amal go for in vain. But what our scholars, they said, the person will be rewarded in this world. One, either Allah will give them a long life, just a reward for their action, the good deeds, or Allah prevent a bala, a misfortune that comes to them out of for the good that they've done, so that Yawm al-Qiyamah they don't have anything, but their good deeds have to be paid here. Why? Because they said in Islam, for a person to get good Yawm al-Qiyamah, he has to have two: alladhina amanu wa amilu salih. They go together. But if I don't believe and I did the good deed, I'm gonna get it here. Like Shaitan, why did he get the long life? He did the good thing, but he didn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so Allah gave them what? The long life. So that Yawm al-Qiyamah, he doesn't have anything. So when a person does good and he or she is not a believer, they get the reward of that action here. So Yawm al-Qiyamah, they don't. Some of the scholars even say, some of them, Allah reduces the pain of death for them. Either they get a long life, or either they get what you call prevented from the any misfortune, or at the time of death, Allah make it easier for them. So at least they have to get their reward for that good deed, but not Yawm al-Qiyamah.
Yes, there is a opinion about some of the in some scholars have this opinion, and Sheikh Mutari also, I've read some of his speeches or some books, and he seems to have the same opinion. What he says is that if a person, for example, does good for others and for society and all those things, he cannot be a non-believer, because there are two kinds of sort of accepting, the God or someone beyond your own life that you believe in. One is by saying it, or one is by action. So one who basically sacrifices his time or money and all those things for others is doing it by action. So it's a sign of belief. So there are both examples and counter examples on both sides. There may be people who may be accepting by their tongue, but may not. I myself have many doubts. For example, I may not express it, but I may not be a believer in that sense that I say it by because I was born in a family, and and the society does not allow me to say openly that I don't believe in a God, so I just accept it. So we have people who accept by saying it, but may not do anything in action to support that claim. Similarly, there may be people who are doing things which show the sign of belief, but may not say or that may not come on their tongues. So can we still consider them believers?
Yes, if a person from the heart they believe, yes, we can consider them believers as long as from the heart they believe that there is a creator, there is a God. Yeah, they're believers, even if they don't come to say it. But
how do you know that they don't say it?
I'm sorry?
How do you know if they don't say it?
For example, there's
like
you said.
We're talking about as human beings. We're not talking about from Allah. Obviously, Allah knows.
Yeah, for us, we can't know. We can't tell.
Right.
We can, unless the person comes and says that I'm a believer, I believe in Allah. Yes. But if we don't know, yes, we always are required to judge people according to the outside. But whatever is inside is between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes. I'm sorry.
Is that believe in Allah is enough, or believe in Rasulullah and Aima is also one of the conditions?
Yes.
Because in Quran Allah says that Allah do not accept the religion except Islam.
Right. Right. Yes, here of course we believe that in Islam there is a chain. Like I believe in Allah, and then I believe in the Prophet, and I believe in Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And I'm not saying this just like that. There is hadith that if a person says I believe in Allah only, but not the Prophet, is incomplete faith. If I say no, I believe in Allah, I believe in the Prophet, and that's it, it's still incomplete. If I believe in Allah and the Prophet and the Imams, that is the complete belief. And this is hadith is mentioned by Zamakhshari in Tafsir al-Kashaf. When this ayah was revealed, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. He mentions so many hadith. One of them he says, أَلَا وَمَنْ مَاتَ عَلَى حُبِّ آلِ مُحَمَّدٍ مَاتَ مُسْتَكْمِلِ الْإِيمَانِ. Meaning, anybody who dies in love in Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, he died on complete Iman. Which means, if a person believes Allah and the Prophet and not Ahlul Bayt, it's incomplete. So the complete Iman is to have all the three together. So yes, in Islam, just one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said also, the same thing, if you believe in me and not the Prophet, it's not accepted. قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي. So if you really believe in Allah, the door to Allah is me, Rasulullah. So you can't go to Allah without me. And two, if you really love the Prophet, you can't go to the Prophet without coming to Ahlul Bayt. أنا مدينة العلم وعلي باب. The door to whom? To the Prophet. And the Prophet is a gate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they are all connected. So a true mu'min is that who believes in all these three chains together. Yes.
Related question. So belief is one thing that you're saying you have to believe in all these three plus Qayamat, and
Yes.
The other part is when you're doing action and your intention. That action and the intention is purely for Allah.
Yes.
There you don't need to say that I'm doing this for Imam or I'm doing this for Rasul.
No.
It's only for Allah.
Only for Allah, yes.
So the belief is that you believe that Allah is there and Allah sent these, and this is because He commanded you to obey them.
Yes.
You take the commandments of Allah through them.
Yes.
Now when you're doing the action, your intention is purely for Allah.
Absolutely.
It's not for somebody else.
No.
Even if Allah told you to believe in them.
That's right. That's right. And the same thing, like we say, we have usul ad-din and furu' ad-din. Usul is to believe. Now furu' is to act.
Right.
Now I believe, now it's time to act. Now when I act, the only one that the niyyah have to be is just for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the only one that you have to believe in that. And the action should be just for His pleasure. That's why in Salat, when you make niyyah, say, qurbatan ila Allah. When you go to Hajj, wajib, qurbatan ila Allah. When you pay sadaqah, qurbatan. Every action, the aim should be qurbatan ila Allah. Yes.
So, the definition that you gave for a munafiq, there are some sects who put the Shia on the same standard, and they say that I forgot the name. Taqiyya. They say they do taqiyya, which is kind of the same thing as munafiq. So how do you differentiate between these two?
Number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who told us to do taqiyya. Taqiyya is not something that somebody else tells us to do that. When you go to Surah Al-Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned clearly, إِلَّا أَن تَتَّقُوا مِنْهُمْ تُقَاتٍ وَيُحَذِّرُكُمُ اللَّهُ. That is one. Number two, another ayah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَ وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ. That's ayah number two. Ayah number three, وَقَالَ رَجُلٌ مِنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ يَكْتُمُ إِيمَانَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all these talks about it. Number one, about the Pharaoh, there was one believer at the time of Pharaoh, he was hiding his faith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned him. Yaktum, al-katum means he's hiding. He's a believer in Musa alayhi salam, but because of his surrounding, he is not explaining his religion. That is one. Number two, Ammar ibn Yasir, the ayah that I just read about him, the non-believers, they took him into custody, they forced him to say bad things about the Prophet, which he said, but his heart, he didn't believe in it. When he came to the Prophet, he was crying. The Prophet asked him, what happened? Before he said something, Allah said, no, I'm going to speak on his behalf. إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَا. Allah said, he was forced. وَقَلْبُهُ. Who can see that? Allah. Allah said, وَقَلْبُهُ. And his heart, Ammar, مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ. Whatever he said, he was forced to say that. That is what we say. So in the Shia school of thought, say taqiyya is when a person finds in himself in an environment where the environment does not allow him to show his religion, his practice. Islam says you have to. However, taqiyya, it comes into 4 rules. Sometimes taqiyya is wajib, sometimes it's mustahab, sometimes it's makruh, sometimes it's haram. It's not just one rule. That anyway I go taqiyya. No. You have to know the surrounding. The surrounding tells you it's wajib to do taqiyya. It's mustahab to do taqiyya. It's haram to do taqiyya. When is it wajib to do taqiyya? When my life or any other person's life will be in danger if we express our faith. Like in the case of Rajulun min Ali Fir'aun. He knows that if he comes out at the time of Fir'aun, if he said, I am a believer on Fir'aun and Musa, he knows he's going to get killed. Here Islam says, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. You are not allowed to go there and say, okay, here I am, I'm a believer, then go ahead and kill me. No, that is haram. For that matter, here is wajib to do taqiyya. Now, second rule is that sometimes taqiyya is mustahab. And what is it? And that is, if I can show my faith, my religion, I'm not going to get killed. But it's going to cause some dragging, argument, something, fighting that is unnecessary. Nothing is going to come out of that. Now here they say it's what? It's mustahab to do taqiyya. Just to prevent unnecessary things. That is number 2. Number 3, makruh. Makruh is when I'm in the situation where if I hide my religion, there might be some possibility somebody might learn or know about the Shia school of thought. Or here is makruh to hide, to do taqiyya. Haram, when I know for sure, 1, there is no reason to hide. It's haram to hide your faith. There's no reason. 2, no. If there is somebody who get to know about my faith, they might even learn, they might convert, they might come closer, then it is haram to do taqiyya. So in our faith, it's not just taqiyya everywhere you go. No. They have to be in different stages. So taqiyya basically is something that Quran allows us to do that. It's not like nifaq. Munafiq is haram. And 2, the difference between taqiyya and nifaq is this. 1, al-munafiq is hiding evil and displaying good. Is that different? Which in taqiyya is the opposite. Which means I'm hiding what? Good. Because of what? To protect evil. So there's 2 different things. Because killing, hurting, attacking is evil. I don't want that to happen. So I am hiding something that is good in order to protect something that is evil. But in nifaq, it's absolutely different. Yes.
Yeah. You gave us this test for checking if we have this shirk khafi in ourselves or not, and you also gave this example of an alim who stopped leading the prayers because it's. Could you give us some practical tips as to how we can, because I fail this test every day, every hour of a day. So what should we do? For example, if I'm a teacher, if I go to my class, for example, if I give a good lecture, I feel good about myself. So sometimes I don't because if I feel that people were not happy. Yeah.
Feeling good about yourself or bad about yourself is a natural thing. Alama fujuraha wa taqwaha. It is fujur, so you can say it is, you normally no, because in other words this a feeling of if one were to take away good and bad feeling, essentially what you're taking away is the reward structure by which, if I take away candy from my daughter or the threat of punishment, then she's not learning her ABCs. She tell you that today. Right. So feeling good or bad or this type of reward cycle internally is something that people can use to to focus themselves in progress. Right? So for example, when I take a test in a class and I get good marks, I feel very happy. Fun that I have learned something, and moreover that I am now capable of learning more. So it is an incentive for me to do so. So am I then?
There are many things.
Yeah, I think that relates to the other question that I asked you originally about what is our goal, Jannat. or because even if you're doing something good, but your intention is to get the sawab, and it's not because you want to please Allah, it's basically the sawab you're after, not the pleasure of Allah.
Right.
Does that get into that category? Because you're still, your intention is sort of right,
When I,
but it's not aligned
Not
properly.
when I
Direct
study for
Allah.
my
Yeah.
test, when I study for my test, right, or I prepare for a class, my goal is to pass that test. Now, the consequence of that is that I do learn that subject, and so forth. So my eventual goal is to be a very
Right.
good person. But my immediate goal right now is to actually,
But that's basically, my question is, we do ibadat, right? Like Shab-e Qadr. Now we know that if we do this, then we'll get that, right?
Yes.
Now there is no pleasure of Allah there.
Yes.
I'm doing this to get that.
Yes.
Is that a good intention or not?
I have a different problem. For example, I do all those, for example, amal, but I also tell my friends who may not have done it to just show off. So, but why didn't you come to the mosque? No, Alhamdulillah, we had so many people in the mosque, and mashallah, Sayyid Mohsen prays, recites it so wonderfully. Is that also shirk, or how can we prevent from those things?
Before you answer, can I just say something? I don't know, because I know that, I think you gotta give the credit to Allah, because Allah who's giving you that. Sulaiman alayhi salam, فلما رآه مستقرا خرج سجنا وقال هذا من فضل ربي. See, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yes.
So you don't feel, because there are people probably who works harder than you, prepare for the exam more than you, and get probably less. So whatever, probably give you better ability to learn than them. So everything good comes from Allah. So first you have to give credit to Allah, and then probably, I don't know, I'm just saying, you can probably.
But the intention part, I think, my question is about the intention, because at that time your intention is.
No, I know my intention. I see. Sometimes I feel I find myself failing. Are there any practical tips to move yourself away from that slope, slippery slope? And it's everywhere. If I buy a new car, if I have a big house, I invite friends. I have this, a bag of the money.
Even the meal on the table, if it's good.
A car, we go for some. You don't go buy if for example, a Hyundai, for example, people see a different edge, for example, on your car, they might like it. Are these all? I consider these things real.
Yeah.
Because my heart tells them that this is real. How can we, move ourselves away from these things?
Yeah, the first thing is that, see, there are two kinds of these feelings. Sometimes when we do something, one kind is good. Meaning when I do something and I tell people about it, it's good. But when is that? Meaning I'm saying it to encourage others to do the same. Like I'm giving sadaqah, not because I want him or her to say something positive about me. No, I want them to be encouraged to do the same thing too. That is absolutely positive. That's good. But the problem is when I'm saying or doing because I want to show the other party that, okay, I am this and you are that. That is where the problem comes in. So at the end of the day, in these two, it comes to my niyyah. Why am I saying? Why am I doing? That is where it comes from. Now, to come back to the point also, how do I be able to overcome this? Our scholars, they mention first and foremost, before any action stop, and think about it first. Anything, it doesn't matter. Before you say, before you go, even some of our khutbah, our scholars, when they sit on the minbar to give a speech, before they say a word, they make sure that the intention is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any action that we do, it doesn't matter. I want to give, I want to invite, I want to read, I want to pray. First, just pause it for a second. And then ask yourself, why am I doing this? And make sure that the need is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is number one. Number two, we have to be able to convince ourselves at some point that nobody, no human being, no jinn, no anybody who can do me any good unless with the permission of Allah. No being can hurt unless with the permission of Allah. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَنْ يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. Al-Isha, whether it's evil they want to do or good they want to do, all comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I have to come to this realization that nothing can happen without Him. So why should I go here and there and not go direct to the source? That is also one thing that we can keep in mind. That before any action, before I say I want to impress Him, I want to get some reward, I want Him to say good. No. Go to Allah. Because if He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is impressed, trust me, He will let everybody to be impressed with you. But if He is not impressed, it means nothing. Even if somebody says that. But the foremost is to stop and think before everything. Number 3 is self-accountability on daily basis. Self-accountability is very important, which is called al-muhasabah. That if there is different levels of this muhasabah. One time, sometimes al-muhasabah is to do it at night. Another muhasabah is to do it after every action. Now first, before I do it, I stop to make sure that the niyyah is for Allah. Now after I finish, I assess myself. Is it for Allah?
You can pay as you go, or you can pay at the end.
That's right. Whichever you choose is up to you. So at the end, after action, I stop to question myself. Did I do it for Allah or I didn't do it for Allah? And then if I did it for Allah, thank Allah and always keep in that. And the fourth one is, which I think is the best remedy, the best of all, keep talking very, very less. In other words, the more we can zip it up, the best it is. That is one of the best. Because look in the Quran, Zakaria alayhi salam, when he wants Allah to show him a sign, what do you say? Rabbi ja'alli ayah. Allah said, I'm going to give you a sign. They say, Allah, I want a sign. What did Allah tell him? Ayatuka Allah tukallim. Don't speak. For how long? 3 days. Maryam alayhi salam, when she wanted to talk about her son, Allah says, فَقُولِي إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ سَوْمًا فَلَنْ أُكَلِّمْ. I'm not going to talk. Because most of our problem is from this. The more we close it, the safer we are. The more we open it, the more problem we become. A lot of our scholars, like Sheikh Al-Ghazali, he has a book where he mentioned major sins that comes just from the tongue. And I say major, even one of them is enough to take us to hellfire. One. It's not 100. No, some people, they think I have to have 120 sins, then I can go to hellfire. No, one sin is enough. Shaitan, what did he do? Just one. But he said no to Allah. Just no. That's it. And Allah says, وَإِنَّ جَهَنَّمَ مَوْعِدَكَ إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. He said, your reward, your punishment is Jahannam. Just one sin. So it's not that I have to do 120, then I can go to hellfire. No. These, what we call kaba'ir al-dhunub, major sins, most of them come from the tongue. Yes, the last talk is the best medicine too. Yes.
Well, we're kind of running out of time, so I just wanted to request that this subject that you're bringing up about speaking less is potentially better. Next time we come to give the khutbah here, could that be the topic of your khutbah, about speaking less and the benefits of it? And because I last year I met a brother. In our deen, generally, we don't have that type of fasting from speaking. Other religions do have that. But I met a brother last year. He decided during Ramadan he was not going to speak. And I met him the last week of Ramadan, so he had gone through for about almost 4 weeks.
Not speaking.
I can't imagine, not speaking for a month. So I was very impressed with that. I thought, mashallah, that's a powerful thing. But so next time, inshallah,
Definitely,
could you
definitely.
give
Really, we
your-
take it lightly. We take this lightly, but it's a really thing. See, there is something in Irfan, Ilm al-Irfan. They call it al-Uzla. Al-Uzla is one of the maqam. See, when you go to the levels of Irfan, you want to purify yourself. There is one stage you get, they call it Uzla, where you don't interact with people. Because the moment you start to interact with people, because that is one of our problem too. Because sometimes you would try to become pure, but people wouldn't let you. And one of them, the reason why they say this, because you minimize your talk. Because in our speech is when the shaitan comes in. This is one ayah, I think in Surah Al-Zumar or Surah one of the surahs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقُلْ لِعِبَادِي يَقُولُ الَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ يَنْزَغُ بَيْنَهُمْ بِالْقَوْلِ. To tell my servant that whatever they say, they should be careful. They say the best. يَقُولُ الَّتِي أَحْسَنُ. Not good, not the best. Why? I said, in the shaitan, in the shaitan, the ways that he comes into us, bil qawl, when we started to speak. That is why the more one can stop talking, the better it is. Really. There's no problem. Inshallah, someday we'll talk about this into detail. And really, when you go to the Ilm al-Arfan, they really emphasize about the not talking. They emphasize that a lot because it's one of the way to kill or stop a lot of sins. Yes.
So, I'm still talking, but that question about niyat
Yes.
and the sawab, the niyat to
Okay.
get the sawab.
Yes.
That's our intention in the heart.
Right.
That I'm doing this
For the sake of this.
to get this.
Right. Right.
The intention, I mean, we may say qurbatan ilallah, but in our
That is
heart,
not.
we know what we are
It's really
doing.
qurbatan ila al-amal.
Right.
Ila
So
thawab.
what is that? I mean,
Right.
how do you classify that?
Right. See, there is no doubt that in our a'mal, in everything that we do, the aim should be just for Allah. That is the highest level that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects from every one of us. But you see, Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he comes in one of the hadiths, he categorized people into three. One of them he says, فَقَوْمٌ عَبَدُوا اللَّهَ طَمَعًا لِجَنَّتِ. There are some of us like us. Some of us, we worship Allah, and the aim is because we are hoping. We want the heaven. That is group one. Group number two, وَقَوْمٌ عَبَدُوا اللَّهَ خَوْفًا مِنْ نَارٍ. And amazing Imam Ali, then he goes to clarify each group. For example, the first group is those who worship because of the heaven. It's a فَتِلْكَ عِبَادَةُ التُّجَّارِ. So those are the ibadah of businessmen. Because they do pray to Allah because they want to get profit. Like you buy something yourself, the aim is profit. Now when I pray to Allah and I want the thawab or heaven, then I am businessman with Allah. That is one. Number two says, وَقَوْمٌ عَبَدُوا اللَّهَ خَوْفًا مِنْ نَارٍ. Those who are afraid of hellfire, he says, فَتِلْكَ عِبَادَةُ الْعَبِيدِ. Those are the service or the ibadah of our slaves. Because the reason they serve in Allah, because they're scared. Because a slave does listen to the master because they don't want to get punished. That is number two. Number three, which is the best and the highest, وَقَوْمٌ عَبَدُوا اللَّهَ لَا طَمَعًا لِجَنَّةِ وَلَا خَوْفًا مِنْ نَارٍ وَإِنَّمَا وَجَدُوهُ أَهْلًا لِلْعِبَادِ. They found Allah. He is the deserving one to be worshipped, and they serve Him. And that is the highest one. And this is what the level of Anbiya and Awliya and Imam Ali alayhi salam. You see, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he got to that point where in Dua Kumail he says, Ilahi fahabni sabartu ala harri narik. Ya Allah, I got to the level, even if you want to put me in hellfire, that's fine. Sabartu, he said, I can be patient with you. فَكَيْفَ أَصْبِرُ عَنِ النَّذَرِ إِلَىٰ كِرَامَةٍ. But one thing I can is what? Is separation from it. He got to the level where it's the hell and the heaven is not the case anymore. Here, let me say that, see, in Islam, there are different levels. Maqamat, right? Now, as you go, one of the maqam is people like us. And inshallah, I'm talking about myself, not you. And I know, inshallah, all of you are hiding that. Now, the one of the maqam is the maqam of who we serve because of the heaven, which in Islam is still okay. Allah accept that too. That even if you do a trade with him, like Allah said in one of the ayah, Hal adullukum ala tijara. Allah said, you want me to trade? Allah wants you to trade with him because not all of us can get that to that level. So even if I serve Allah to that level, Allah said, I know you did not get to what I want, but still I'll take it. Sometimes in the school there's called pass, right? It's not a one thing grade, but it's called pass, right? Now this is called passing stage. You pass, it's okay. Now, the second level is the same. It's called passing. Also, I'm serving Allah because I don't want to go to hellfire. That's called passing, right? But guess what? These are considered the lowest level of Tawheed. The lowest Tawheed, the lowest level. Because a mu'min, as you go higher, there is another level. Which the Prophet talked about what? About Salman. Right? What level is that? The level that you pass is not about heaven, not about hellfire. Actually, the heaven is willing and patiently asking you to be part of it. You know what the Prophet said about Salman? إن الجنة تشتاق إلى سلمان أكثر من اشتياقه لها. That the heaven is anticipating, hoping that Salman will come into it. It takes the privilege of Salman to come. And here, brothers and sisters, we all can get to that level. This Salman is not a prophet, because sometimes when we talk about this, they say, oh, these are ma'asum, these are imams, how can I get there? No, this is Salman. The Prophet is talking about him. Salman is not a prophet, he's not imam, he's one of the people who have struggled and got to that level. And we all can. And that is, see, as we go through of Tawheed and trying to do things for Allah, we get to the level. See, let me give you an example, maybe that will clarify. See, when you get into the plane, when we get to the plane, you sit in the plane before the plane takes off. When you look in the window, you see everything as they are. Right? Everything. You open the window, you see people, their size, the same size, houses, everything. The same plane, when it started to take off, right? As it goes up, the same thing that you see on the ground, it started to become what? Smaller. Right? Now when our level of looking at heaven and hell, it's like we sit in the plane. Because that's all we can see. But as you go higher, the heaven becomes smaller. Like the plane, as you go higher, now the houses, some of them are 20-story building, 30-story building, they become tiny. Now you see this also, I think Imam Ali or Imam Hussein said in one of the hadith, he said, عَظُمَ الْخَالِقُ فِي أَعْيُنِهِمْ. He said the Creator became the biggest thing in their sight. فَصَغُرَ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ. Then everything becomes small in their sight. Right? Now you can keep going with the plane. As the plane kept going and got to the point cruise level, now you don't see anything other than the cloud. You look at the left, it's cloud. You look in the front, it's cloud. You look at the right, cloud. Nothing you can see on this ground other than the cloud. Now that level is called the level of what? Kamal Tawheed. That's the perfect Tawheed. That is what Imam Ali said, Ma ra'aytu shay'an illa wa ra'aytu Allah qablahu wa ma'ahu wa ba'da. He said, I never look and see something unless I see Allah. That is the high level. When you get to that level, no, it's not about the heaven. It's not about hellfire. It's nothing but Allah. And that's the level of Ibrahim. Kul inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbi. That at that point, everything that I do is not me, not heaven. It's all Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this level, and also in Ilm al-Irfan, you know, they have at least almost like 12 levels. The first one is called Al-Bidayat, the beginning. The highest level of Irfan is called Maqam al-Tawheed. When a person reaches to the level where completely, sincerely, purely Tawheed, where nothing exists, nothing you see other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for us, yes, we're supposed to be our ibadah and everything for the sake of Allah. But because of our lack of true Tawheed, we don't see Allah to that level. We see heaven and hell. So that is something okay, but it shouldn't be like stopping point. We should keep striving. That someday we will bypass that to see just Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Sheikh,
Yes, please.
how we can improve our understanding of Tawheed?
It's good. How do we improve our understanding of Tawheed? Number one of the way to improve our understanding of Tawheed is one, we have to understand the true Tawheed. Unfortunately, most of the time in our majalis and our khutbah, we're lacking talking about Tawheed. In our majalis, you rare do you hear people talking about Allah, Tawheed, which ones, how do you get to that? We're lacking on that. However, when you go to the Tawheed, there are so many branches of Tawheed. Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, Tawheed al-Khaliqiyyah, and all of that is to try to understand the true and the perfect Tawheed. The first thing is knowledge, learning. Learning is the first step. And you go to the Quran, Allah says, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهِ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Al-khashya and taqwa doesn't come unless you know who you're talking to. And that is the first step. Ibn Najil Balagh, Imam Ali said, أَوَّلُ الدِّينِ مَعْرِفَتُهُ. The first step in religion is the ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is one of the things.
I think we'll continue with this tomorrow.
Inshallah.
Start with Tawheed again.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, and then
Inshallah.
talk about other, because I think
No problem, inshallah.
because it's time for you to